What does it mean to surrender? This is a thing I toiled with for many years. And I must say that surrender is the key. It's the key to unlock your true potential. It's the key to unlock and to find out your true nature. Because you need to understand who is not surrendering. Let me adjust this so it's better. Who is not surrendering? Think about that. Who is not surrendering? Well, the automatic answer to that will be, of course, it's me. But have you looked deep enough into this me? Who is this me that you have assumed yourself to be? When you find out that that me is a fabrication, that it's a conceptual delusion, and that we walk around as neurotic, separate individuals. We think we're separate. There's no separation in this reality. This is one field, unlimited, unbound, uncreated. That's a big one, because there is no effort required to be fully who you are, to be fully yourself. And when you surrender, the only thing you surrender into is to your true nature, is to who you are. That's what you are. You are pure, conscious, aware presence. That's it. It is too simple for the mind to understand. And that's why when people talk about spiritual awakening, they talk about non-duality, they talk about exiting the matrix, finding out who you are, the ego dissolution. All of those things have the end result of coming back to here and now, to this present moment. And that is exactly the same thing that happens when you engage in self-inquiry. Self-inquiry by Ramana Maharshi, another huge thing that did it for me in terms of realizing my true potential many years ago. So when you are in a state of pressure, of anxiety, whatever it may be, take just a minute. And in the theme of surrendering, find out who is the one who's struggling. I know that seems very obvious, but it is not obvious, because we have been living under a false assumption ever since we started our conditioning as children. We have been made to believe that we are these separate little individuals that are mortal, that have a beginning and an end. This body has been changing the whole time. These thoughts everything is changing. That's the law of impermanence. The law of impermanence, as realized by the Buddha, is one of the most profound laws of existence. Why? Because it coincides exactly with the quantum reality that we're starting to understand. Science and spirituality is coming at a cross sections, at a crossroads right now, which is a wonderful thing, because there is only one truth, and everything is pointing to that truth. That truth is who you are. And once you realize who you are, once you realize that truth, it changes everything. It is such a simple understanding. It's just a complete shift of perspective. But that shift of perspective creates the disillusion of your body-mind identity, of the idea you have of who you are. Again, the idea you have of who you are. You are not an idea. But we've always assumed and had an idea through thinking. It's all a thought. It's just thoughts. Thoughts have no gravitas. Thoughts have no weight. They have no objectivity. They're very fleeting. You can't touch a thought. Thoughts are coming and going. Where is the thought? It's nowhere. The minute you stop paying so much attention to the personal psychological thinking, the mind, the little me, who has been a construct, that's been a construct. Understand that. It's not who you are. The quickest way to know that is you're observing it. You can observe and you can relate to what I'm talking about right now, because at this moment, as we're talking about that little me, you can obviously observe that little me. You can observe all the time that little me, that psychological me. Many times there's that voice in your head. Observe that voice. People say, develop the voice. Don't develop the little me. Don't develop your ego even more. This is why self-help books I found to be, yeah, there is some use to it, but you need to transcend the self-help. It means the self-help books is helping the ego. Help the ego grow more and more, learn more. How is that really making you fundamentally, permanently happy? How? If this resonates with you, fantastic. If it doesn't, again, this may not be the right time for you. But if it does, bless you. That's wonderful. Because at the end of the day, True happiness is only found within yourself. The truth is only found within yourself. Surrendering your will. What is your will? This is where you have to just be quiet and you just have to look. Observe with detachment and see what's happening. You're going to be pulled from all directions. A lot of that is just conditioning. I need to do this, I need to do that. Okay, practicality is fine with thinking. The only problem thinking becomes a problem is when it is embedded with personal identity, because you are not your thoughts. But when you take yourself to be your thoughts, that's when the trouble arises. Because your entire identity has been shaped out of thinking. Remember, thinking has no tangible reality. It has a beginning and end. If you had been your thoughts, when your thoughts are gone, you would also be gone. But how many thoughts have you had in your life? You can't count. There's so many, all the time. Hundreds and hundreds of thoughts every day, right? But we take ourselves to be every little thought, and a thought comes, and if it's grabs our attention, you forget it. You go out on a journey. We become spaced out. We are not focused anymore. We become self-hypnotized by the thinking mind. So the moment for me personally, and when I say me, again, I'm not referring to the personal identity. And this is the biggest grace that exists. At least in my experience, the biggest grace that ever hit me in this life was the dissolution of the mind-body identity. Because as I speak to you, I don't speak to you as a person. I don't speak to you as personal identity. The me, to me, is come to been realized in a permanent state. The only permanence that exists is awareness, is consciousness. Everything is consciousness. And I'll make another video about the 3-dimension, 5th dimension. I don't like to go into words because it's, again, more concepts. You got to get away from concepts. The more you're involved in concepts, the less you are here present in the moment. And the more you're attached and the more you believe in your thinking, the less you are here as well. So again, that's all surrendering. Surrender all of that. The greatest surrender I had was in the moments of the greatest personal pain, psychological pain. And in retrospect now, I see that as an incredible blessing because it completely freed me. But I had to be brought down to my knees in tremendous anguish to finally let go of this person, to let go of that psychological me that wanted to control everything. It thought it knew what it was doing. It had no clue. All it brought me, yes, it brought beautiful things, but it also brought a lot of misery. And it was always very neurotic. That personal identity was very neurotic, like pretty much every personal identity. Which personal identity is not neurotic? So you see, my friends, what I'm trying to do is offer the most direct way to realize your true nature. Because once you realize that, it changes everything. The realization itself is powerful, but at the same time, it's really not a big deal whatsoever. In fact, that's why I wanted to, in the previous video, demystify spiritual awakening, because it's the most ordinary. Spiritual awakening is the most simple and ordinary thing. The minute you realize that, the minute you stop making a big deal, because it is not a big deal. What is a big deal is that the first major shift you will experience, if you haven't experienced that yet, is the complete dissolution of the personal identity. It's also known as ego, but ego is such a misused word. People talk about ego as if, I'm beating my chest, that has a big ego. It's not really to do with that. The ego is that personal identity. But it's been used in the vernacular, in the common language, in semantics. But we're not talking about semantics here. We're talking about your true nature of who you are. There's only one truth. Please let me know what you'd like me to post, what you'd like me to talk about. This channel is for you. This is your channel. And I waited a long time to start speaking, even though this realization has hit, because I wanted to be as authentic as possible. I didn't want to say something and later say, I shouldn't have said it. Everything is coming out spontaneously, naturally. There is no script. It's just the way it is. And when you awaken to your true nature, you will see how easy, I know this sounds crazy, but how easy, once you understand it, life can become, because the universe is benevolent. There's a tremendous love, not a lot. I mean, it's boundless love. It's boundless creativity. And when you get into that zone, you become in the flow state. When you surrender that will, that personal ego, you enter into the flow state. Because the personal ego, have you noticed, it goes against the flow? That's another topic that I want to talk about. But anyway, I want to make these short. And I hope you really have a blessed day, and I hope that this makes sense. Let it sink in a bit. And if you need to watch this again, Bless you. Have a beautiful day.